Hello and welcome back to the range on a beautiful warm Indian summer day, and pretty excited because we are going to try out my Chasseur Carbine of 1837. If you haven't seen the technical and historical video on that, perhaps go and watch that first, then you'll know what I'm going on about with these cartridges. So with me I have two types. The first one will be the Brunéel principle. So this is a cartridge in which the percussion cap is included inside the sabot. And the rationale behind it was that you could simply prime the nipple with the base of the cartridge and then load. When I was researching this, I was astounded to find out that the first French percussion caps for muskets were basically giant versions of what we have today for pistols, so they didn't have wings. And this is the reason why they were including it in the sabot, because it was fiddly for the soldiers while loading, so why not have it already in the cartridge? Seems obvious to us today to have the winged musket caps, but of course back at the very beginning perhaps it wasn't so obvious. Anyway, they quickly came round to the idea. They looked around. The Austrians had a little tiny sort of recurve on the edges of their caps, and then they looked across the water close to home at the United Kingdom, which had musket caps with wings. So then of course they ditched this idea and went to the normal musket caps we know today. So this is the first one. So there's the percussion cap there under a little film of tissue paper. There's the sabot, the ball, and the powder on the top, which is itself enclosed. It can't have the powder sitting on top of the ball because you're going to be loading the sabot and ball down first. So, and then tearing off the excess. So you have to reload the powder first, and you don't want the powder, the ball, the paper to form a wad between the sabot and the shoulder in the chamber, because then you're going to sort of dampen the effect when you're hammering down the ball to make it expand into the rifling. That's the first one. And then I have this very curious patched cartridge. Now this is based on a description I found of the cartridge for the 1840 carbine, so the successor to my one, which has the same barrel, same rifling, same rate of twist, same caliber, just that it has double the length of the powder chamber, because one of the problems they found with the 1837 pattern was that it was the range was pretty lousy, and the round was pretty weak. So double the charge. That works. So yes, this is the only concession I've made to modernity, so to speak, is that I have glued the patch on. The description states that they use a nail, but I don't really fancy sending a nail bouncing down my ball. So today we have very efficient glues, so I'm using glue instead. So I'll head down to the range down below, and we'll see how it performs.
Ja, dachte, müsst ihr wieder mal gesehen?
Erstes Mal.
Letztes Mal. Nein, vorletztes Mal. Nur mal 50. Wie hast du? Mehr hat es nicht gelangt.
Hey, hast du noch gar nicht?
Aber ja, musst du nicht überlegen.
Ja, aber.
Ja, genau. Ja.
Also, zur ersten Serie, der Schuss.
Vogel die ganze Zeit im Laufen.
Was seid ihr jetzt, wenn ihr den ersten 6 Schuss 30 Punkte habt? Ja, nicht nervös. Nicht nervös werden, gell?
Ja,
Nicht nervös werden.
Nicht du drauf ist das Kind und dann hast
Nicht nervös werden.
in Afrika. Hunger, meinst du?
6 Kontrollen lassen. Was ist denn bei dir gleich los?
Eine Errungenschaft schon gesehen?
Also, nächste Serie, 6 Schuss in der Minute. Schützen bereit. Feuer!
Ja, das ist ja willst du nicht.
Jetzt!
Ich mache 10, 2, nachher noch 6. Dann geht's mit.
Ja, der war schön.
So ist einfach der Dreh.
Aber echt der Plan, das Geil ist, wenn man das 5 mehr hat. Ja. Du musst zwar verziehen, drin.
Not too bad, offhand for the first time. This is interesting. There's a bow that's gone all the way down range and still stuck in the target. So, one of these ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very nice.
Schuss, laden und bereit machen. 4 Schuss in 60 Sekunden. Sichtschützen bereit. Achtung, Start. Da bin ich zu Deutsch, du musst rauf, da bin ich zurück, da müssen wir sehen. Ja, nur ein Schießen. Schuss in einer Minute.
Spannend, jetzt was wieder tief.
Feuer halt, Magazin raus. Hast du 4 geschossen oder so? Nein. Ich habe noch was 5 getroffen. Da fehlt noch einen. Klebt noch einen, einfach einen. Musst noch laden einen. Einfach nur eine Patrone. Schlitte hingere entladen. Süffeli. So, jawohl. Ja, und sonst legst du einfach.
Okay, so here's the result with the patched sabots. A little bit better, and actually shooting more or less the sights I was aiming here at 6 o'clock. So then I've got this nice group here. That one was me being an idiot. The first shot I did was up there. The other 3 here, well, these were towards the end, and I hadn't cleaned, well, I didn't clean it throughout the entire series, including the one prior without the patch, so it was getting a little bit scabby. And if you remember, part of the issue with the rifle was that the bullets would apparently sometimes jump the rifling. Now, of course, if it's the rifling is slowly getting filled up because it's shallow, rounded rifling, you're going to probably going to get that more frequently as it gets all fouled up. Anyway, I'm quite happy with that group there. That was pretty good and promising. So here we are, all cleaned up, and I think did rather well for the first time, considering it's a educated guess considering the cartridges. Certainly it's already at a stage, only at 50 of course, but where you could pick your target. As I said, the aim of this was to engage people who were in concealment, in rocks, shrubs, that kind of thing. So this certainly is far better at doing that than a service musket would be. Remember, we're talking about service muskets with service ammunition. So yes, you can get more accurate if you tailor your ammunition and projectiles, but this is the army. You get given a service cartridge and you have to deal with it. So certainly for the 1840s, it's perfectly adequate. You've got the advantage of the percussion system. Now, concerning the cartridges, interesting observations. Firstly, the first cartridge, I can absolutely understand why that was a failure and never got past the prototype stage. The issue is that it's highly likely, or in my case, all of them, the percussion cap just stays inside the sabot. Now, it could be that mine are slightly too big, although they do fit the nipple rather snugly, so I don't think it's that. Maybe I could make the hole in the sabot a little bit bigger. I don't know, but that was one of the issues that comes up in the reports, so it's not just me. They even tried to get around that by engraving the percussion nipple with annular grooves, which actually the Dutch did as well, to see if that would make it more grippy. That didn't particularly work. So the issue that I saw was that you try and push down the cartridge, didn't work, so you try and sort of push it against the nipple and hopefully that'll drag the percussion cap out. That doesn't seem to work, but while you're jiggling like that, the cartridge is going to tear, usually just above the sabot, because the sabot is held inside the guide here, which means it's tearing just under the bullet. Bullet is heavy, bullet falls out, wasted cartridge. So I can see this, particularly in moments of stress, that the cartridge is going to tear itself apart while you're trying desperately to get this percussion cap to fit. So yeah, I can anticipate a lot of ammunition wastage due to that. As to actually loading, that was absolutely fine. As you could see, the results were vastly different to the second cartridge. I can't really explain why. The patch on the second cartridge only covers the sabot, so it's not it doesn't have any not interfering or enhancing anything to do with the bullet. But well, there you go. The results were clearly it was shooting flatter as well, which is strange. It could just be that this patch provides just the well, not perfect, but far better centering of the ball, and then a more regular expansion. It translates to perhaps a tighter group. This is all a hypothesis, of course, but the results were there. Now, the second cartridge, that worked absolutely fine. Easy to load. I chose in that one to have a card tube to hold the charge, which is what the French used in the later patterns. So I don't know when this was introduced. Unfortunately, a description of the 1840 cartridge doesn't say anything about how the powder is stored in the cartridge, but plausible they already had the card tube, or they had what I did in the first cartridge, and is just to have a paper separation instead of a card one. Anyway, that bit is essential. And well, as you saw, it shot a tighter group. It shot flatter as well. This was point of aim. I chose to aim at the bottom of the black just so I could have a nice consistent reference point. So it would be very, very interesting, hopefully next year, to take this out to 100 meters and see, to really exercise it there, because at 50 meters it's difficult to tell whether there's any difference between firearms, to be honest. They all sort of shoot more or less the same, especially with these big old black powder big bore rifles. So maybe at 100 we can maybe sort the men from the boys, as it were. One interesting ergonomic note, and that is these external screws on the lock. Front one, no issue. Second one, you can see there, is right next to the side of the knuckle, and after whatever it was, 18, 19 rounds, I've got very little skin left on the side of my hand here. I didn't actually notice it while shooting, but when cleaning up, the cleaning solvent started stinging more than it should, and yeah, there was a, I think it was a blister, and then it went burst. So I can understand perfectly why this disappeared rather quickly, and the later French muskets have a very characteristic shape with a very smooth lock face and having a hook system, so there's absolutely nothing here, no screw going this way or the other way to poke out of the lock plate, so there's nothing to catch your hand on. So that was a interesting bit of experimental archaeology there. Anyway, I hope you like this this test of this very, very nice musket, or rifle I should say, and hopefully next year we can try it out with probably the Type 2 cartridge, because that seems to be the most accurate, and see what it does at 100. Thank you for watching. Thank you, of course, for all your support on whichever platform you wish to follow us on, and we'll see you next time. Bye.